Welcome back. The Herd is coming up next right here on FS1. Let's head over, check in with Colin. Hey, Colin, what is on the show today?
I am just reading the internet, the blogosphere, the Cleveland Browns, Super Bowl contenders, Pittsburgh Steelers, now a second-tier franchise. We'll see. Some thoughts coming up.
Thank you, Colin. Time for our final topic of the day. Steph Curry said earlier this week that tonight's game in Houston is a, quote, statement game. The Warriors are 0-3 against the Rockets this season, but they'll be without Kevin Durant tonight because of an ankle injury. So, Chris, is Houston a real threat to Golden State?
The Rockets couldn't leave well enough alone. Skip, they should have learned their lesson. Like, they have awoken Steph Curry. The sleeping giant that is Steph Curry.
With their mouths?
Yes.
Okay.
Remember last year when Clint Capella said they're better than Golden State?
Yeah,
now, they did play them tough, but they lost. Yeah. And now Capella's saying, well, it might be a statement game for them, not for us. Mike D'Antoni saying they should have said that statement game before Phoenix. And, you know, like, come on, just play your game. You're playing well. Let your game speak for yourself. Don't rile them up. Now, I will say this. I think 80% Golden State, 20% Rockets when they meet in the conference finals. I give the Rockets a 20% chance. Their best bet is it like last year, if they can get it into like a one-on-one, you know, ISO game with the switching. Because remember, Kevin Durant kind of faded away from the offense.
It was the first time in his stay in Golden State where I said, wait a second, where are you, Kevin?
Right, right. And he went into ISO mode. Yep. And the Warriors are not as together this year, obviously, as they were last year. So maybe they're more susceptible to that. So I think that's the Rockets' best chance. But I'm heavily with the Warriors.
I'm not heavily. I'm getting more skeptical by the day. Now we have the Steve Kerr lip-reading episode in which it looked like he said, I'm so bleeping tired of Draymond's you-know-what.
You don't buy his I beg to differ with Draymond,
right? Just made a joke of it, and then Draymond tried to shrug it off, but neither really denied it because Draymond's saying, well, coaches get tired of players and players get tired of coaches. Well, I think they're getting worn out of each other, and it seems to all circle around Draymond. He seems to be at the epicenter of this, you know, the issues going on with this team. Obviously, he and KD had a big issue, so it feels troubled at its core to me. Houston had them dead to rights last year until Chris Paul got hurt, and now Houston's won all 3 games, and I think Golden State gets a break tonight that Kevin isn't going to play because if he played and they lost again straight up, 4-0, you know, like...
Yeah, it would really look bad.
Now,
no, you're right.
It takes a little the onus off tonight. Cleveland's now favored by 3, Houston's favored by 3.5, and so they'll probably win the game, and it won't matter because we'll discount it because there's no KD. But in the end, the Rockets look, and I've been watching them a lot, they look legit to me. They play with a body language like they believe they can do this. James Harden looks different this year to me. He looks more in control and command of his emotions and himself. So with Capella back and Chris Paul back, they look like a legit threat. I'd go more 60-40 Golden State.
60-40, wow. And their defense is back. Remember earlier in the year, most of the year, they couldn't play defense. Now with Fareed, obviously still P.J. Tucker, Capella's back. They're playing good defense.
I'm an Austin Rivers fan. We've had him on the show.
Yeah,
I like him. I just like him.
He's tough.
He's tough, and he's not afraid, and he brought a little spirit to that team that it didn't have. He'll take and make big shots.
I sit a couple of their stars.
You know what? That would be a pop move.
Right. Like, don't. So if you lose, it's not a big deal, and the Warriors can't take much stock in it.
Will we see some kind of a statement? That is it. Of the day, sponsored by Burger King. Rumors have been flying that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving will be a package deal when they are expected to hit free agency this offseason. The most popular rumored destination? The Knicks. But Charles Barkley doesn't think that's a good idea. He was asked what advice he would give Durant if he asked him about signing with the Knicks, and he didn't hold back. Barkley said, quote, "You ain't tough enough to play in New York. I don't think Durant or Kyrie are tough enough to play in New York. Kyrie's a very good player. Kevin's a great player, but I'm not sure they have the mental makeup to play in New York. Those guys are complaining about the media asking questions, but maybe New York isn't for them." We're joined once again by Michael Rappaport. Michael, do you agree with Barkley here?
I don't agree with Barkley in the long term. Now, I am frustrated with Kyrie complaining about the press.
Sure.
We didn't know you spoke to LeBron James. That was a private conversation. You chose to share that.
Right.
No one knew about that.
No.
I speak to you. I speak to you. No one knows about this. Okay, so you brought that on yourself. So when the media wants to talk to you, maybe we don't know who else have you spoken to. Have you spoken to KD? Did you speak to Rod Strickland? Who have you spoken to? That being said, we as New York Knicks fans, we've never had two champions. The last time we've had players play for the Knicks that had rings and things is the great Willis Reed and those guys. Amari Stoudemire, a very good player. We knew he had an injury. Inevitably, we in our hearts, we knew that just wasn't going to get it done. Carmelo Anthony, no rings and things. So these guys, they've played on the biggest stages. It's the mecca of basketball. It's the city's game. We know they can get it done on the court. And I think that although they have both been sensitive, particularly this year, the New York fans, we come out in droves. And there hasn't been a highlight out of New York this season. The biggest highlight was James Dolan ejecting and banning a fan. That's the highlight of the season.
That's true.
That's the only thing. We haven't, there's been no highlights. Is this guy, this little guy with the funny teeth, banning a fan who paid. That's the only highlight we have. So I think we have a 2-year grace period. I think that the New York and the New York media will be so happy.
So you're saying they would take it easy on them? Fans and media.
Well, the fans, we're going to just be happy. To see two guys out there putting up points and all that stuff, that we haven't had like excitement like that. And I think the media, they're going to do well if they both come, and they're going to do well. And I think it'll take at least 2 seasons before people start breaking their chops.
Okay.
Kyrie, I don't know what you're talking about you don't. He seems like he doesn't want to be talked to, win, lose, or draw. You got to figure that out. Durant will be fine. Kyrie, just like, whoever you're speaking to, don't bring it up, okay? But in the short term, 2 years, we'll be fine. We'll win more games. We'll improve. There'll be excitement. There'll be highlights other than James Dolan throwing out fans. So my answer, long-winded answer is, I think that we will be fine if we get those two guys. And I'm praying, please come to New York.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay, that's the fan perspective, just so people know. You work for the New York Times, and you covered the Knicks and the Nets. So you know what of you speak. You know you are inside the New York media covering basketball.
Yeah, and look, I do tend to agree that, especially with the fans, there will be I'd say a year or two grace period where, assuming, and they would, if Kyrie and KD go there, they would certainly be a really good team. They wouldn't be expecting championship or coming down on them if they didn't win a championship for at least a year and maybe 2, right?
Yes.
So it'd be 2 or 3 years before they really jumped on them. As far as the New York media, when I was the beat writer, that was early days of the internet. The internet wasn't what it was now. And the New York media was so different from media anywhere else. LA, Chicago, the only thing even close was Philadelphia. But New York media, with the sensationalism, with the back pages, it was aggressive, and players had a hard time dealing with it. Now, though, New York is still the top, but with the internet now, sensationalism has been brought all over the country, and even no matter where you're at, you're still catching heat.
You're in it.
It's all over. You catch heat no matter where you are. Maybe not quite to the extent of New York, but you do catch heat. Now, to answer Barkley's question, both of them obviously have rabbit ears. Both of them obviously are sensitive, and I would not recommend that either one of them go there by yourself.
No, for sure.
No, do not go, because you won't win big, and then you will catch heat.
Be on you, okay.
But I do think if they go together, or one of them went with Anthony Davis or whatever, if they go with 2 stars, they'll be fine. These 2 guys, Kyrie, let's look at him. Kyrie just did a big mea culpa piece with Yahoo, where he said, I was wrong for the way I've handled things. I apologize. We know he apologized to LeBron. Like, I got to be honest. I'm looking at Kyrie, and I'm thinking, this is a young guy. He's only 26. He's still learning. He's not above saying, I get it now. I didn't get it then. I think he kind of said, look, I don't like the way the media handles things, but I kind of get it. I understand it now.